All right. Igor from Vinous Survey Wine Merchant is here. And I want to talk about the 21 Napa Valley Vintage. Jancis Robinson just came out with her assessment a couple of days ago. And I'm going to go over the assessment. I'm going to share that with you. I kind of give my 2 cents on it. So, Jancis Robinson, you guys are not familiar. She's a wine writer, wine critic, wine educator. She's been doing things in wine for over 45 years. She's the most trusted name when it comes to wine decisions that I make. I love her recommendations. Basically, to me, if she recommends something, I find it gold. So I want to kind of share the assessment, her overview. What I like about her the most is she's both direct and diplomatic. So she's not confrontational, but she's not sugarcoating things either. So I'm going to go over the report, kind of pick out a few things that I found interesting. I'll share it with you guys. And then we'll look at actual wines and how she scored them. So first, let me share the 20-point scale that she uses. Um, so a lot of the wine critics, they use the 100-point scale. They call it the Robert Parker scale, with the idea, the closer you get to 100 points, the better the wine is. And 100 points indicated a perfect wine. So a lot of people who are into wine, they don't follow Jancis because they can't understand the 20-point system. But here's how she described it. So, 20 points, truly exceptional, equivalent to 100-point wine. Uh, 19 points, a humdinger. Uh, Very good, obviously. I cut above superior, 17 points superior, 60 points distinguished, 15 points average. Perfectly nice drink with no faults, but not much excitement. Um, so there's a couple interesting things. So first of all, the 20-point scale. This is actually a scale created by UC Davis, which is one of the most prominent schools in terms of viticulture in the whole U.S. A lot of winemakers from Napa actually went to UC Davis and studied there. So it's funny how a lot of predominantly American consumers are not familiar with the 20-point scale and are confused by it, even though it's created by an American system, the UC Davis system. So, that's interesting. But second of all, let me translate my interpretation from 20-point scale to 100-point scale. So I think, if you divide 100 by 20, it's like multiplicator of 5, right? So a lot of people thinking, oh, well, what is 17 points? Is that like 17 times 5? So is it like 85 points? No, that's not how the scale works, in my opinion. Uh, I would say like this. So 15, let's start with 15 points. Everything below 15 is not really relevant, just like anything below 80 on the 100-point scale is irrelevant. Um, 15 is like that 85, 86 point wine, right? 16 is to me is that like 88, 89 point wine. 16 and a half, to me, that's that 90-point wine. It hits that 90 points. And 17 is approximately 92 points, 17 and a half, 93, 94, 18, 95. We're talking about exceptional wines now. 18 and a half, 19, 19 would be like 98-point wine. Obviously, 20 point is 100-point wine. Uh, Jancis, to me, she's very frugal with her scores. So she doesn't give 18 points that often. So if something is 18 points, it's pretty fantastic. And that's like, let's say, 95 points. That's the equivalent, 95 points, right? So we'll use 18 as 95 points. And you'll see in the scores from Napa, that's going to be a pretty good indicator. You know what? And while we're at it, let me go here. All right, I'm back. Let me let you guys know what I'm drinking. All right, so this is from Mussolino Winery. They're based in Piedmont, northwest Italy. Piedmont is famous for their two famous villages, Barolo Barbaresco, that specialize in Nebbiolo grape, So is Marcelino. They're actually known for their fantastic Barolos, some of the best Barolos in the world. But this is actually their Dolcetto di Alba. So Dolcetto is the grape, and it's actually translated, funnily enough, into little sweet one. But the wine itself is not sweet. It's a full-bodied wine, uh, nice tannins. But the reason it's called little sweet one is because the two other famous grapes from Piedmont, Nebbiolo and Barbera, both of them are have such high acid that when you take Dolcetto grape, it almost feels sweet. That's how the name came about, Dolcetto, little sweet one. Because in contrast to Nebbiolo and Barbera, it kind of tastes sweet. So you see nice deep color, great fruit on it. Mm. Nice smooth tannins. All right, so let me actually use this wine as kind of comparison to some of the wines we'll be looking at in terms of point scale. All right. All right, guys. So you see, I have Mussolino wines. This is from JancisRobinson.com, right? So I'm showing some of the Barolos. So you can see 18 points wines, pretty great scores. So 95 points. Like I said, she doesn't give too many wine scores like this. And scrolling down, there's Barbera from 2022 vintage. And here's Dolcetto. This is the one I'm having. 2022 vintage, 16.5 points. Really good score for Dolcetto. Dolcetto wines are not considered, kind of noble grapes, not like Nebbiolo. They make fantastic, 18-point wines, 95-point wines. But she gives like a brief overview about Dolcetto and fun little facts about it right here. Older people remember Dolcetto as being the wine of the Langhe. In the old days, Mussolino made more Dolcetto than Nebbiolo. And then here's a brief overview. Pale purplish crimson, very bright, pure fruit, intense red currant, quite a bit of tannin. This wine opened up, so the tannin is fading away. But yeah, red currant, pure fruit, beautiful wine. I'm tasting the same thing that she's showing. All right, guys. So I just want to share her review of the wine and kind of the way she scores. So, all right. So let's now jump into her assessment of the 2021 vintage. So she was in Napa several weeks back, right here in Bay Area, and she went to Napa's area, where they taste wine. And she tasted a whole lot of wine. So let's go to the overview, and I'll give you an example of how she's direct and diplomatic at the same time. So let's just press here. So let's find her scores. Here we are. All right. All right. Let me go to the top. So right here, she does assessment all the wineries in alphabetical order from A to K. Beautiful picture of Napa Valley. All right. So she gives an overview. All right. So she gives props to Napa for being very transparent. All right, so this is what was provided to not only to her, but other critics. She's talking about useful image on the label, full contact details, technical analysis, and here's where she's being direct. Though not residual sugar, which might be interesting in some cases, kind of implying that the wines are sweet. Napa wines are sweet. So price released today, total. She says that I wish European producers would routinely supply even a fraction of this information. So positive feedback about Napa's technical information, which tasted the wines, with a little dig at them. So pretty funny dig. I think it's relevant to her palate. I think that's kind of what she's talking about. All right, so she said that uh, she had the option to taste blind, but because a lot of the wine she tasted, she didn't know who the producers were. She thought she wouldn't be prejudiced. All right, so she kind of reveals that she could have tasted blind, but she didn't. All right, then she goes to something that she's very kind of passionate about and leading the charge on this, and that's emissions and the weight of bottles. Uh, so she's saying that a lot of the wines that they tasted, she actually weighed the bottle, and there was huge differences from lightweight to heavy bottles. And this is I think I noticed it the same way. It's kind of annoying. She's saying right here that unfortunately, too many Napa producers still seem to believe that heavy glass is a clever marketing tool as opposed to a menace in terms of carbon emissions. I feel that on the first front, carbon emissions. I think she's right. I don't want to make it like a political statement here, but definitely believe that a lot of producers are there like, hey, if we make a heavy bottle, it makes the wine feel more important, and that's such like baloney. Uh, and annoying and a nuisance. These bottles are so heavy. Uh, Frequently, they're made in such a shape that it won't fit on like standard shelves. They're a nuisance to ship, and it's just because they want to like stand out somehow. Pretty label, heavy bottle, etc., etc. What's outside the bottle is more important than what's inside the bottle. And this is actually not the first time she's going to mention that. So that's kind of the first thing that she mentioned. All right, then and she kind of says who are the culprits. All right, so she says that there were 19 bottles, there were 1 kilogram in weight, whereas the wine it holds is actually 750 grams. So the bottle was heavier than the wine inside of it. And then she says the most obvious virtuous producers, and she lists them out, right? Favia, Prague's Leap, Gatlica, Groth, Snowden, Spotswood, etc., etc. I found this actually pretty interesting, and I think you see a little correlation between some of the scores that she gave and who she listed out. She's talking about alcohol levels, that a lot of them were above 15%. Um, and the wines, were very ripe. Um, here's the other point she says. She quotes a retired writer from Napa Valley, Matt Kramer, and this was he's talking about people who go to Napa. Uh, right here. So this is first Jancis, and then she quotes the writer. We wine nerds, and I consider myself part of these wine nerds, may be fascinated by the valley's intricacies of geography, but for the general consumer, Napa Valley spells magic. Or, as retired wine writer Matt Kramer put in, when he met me in San Francisco and discussed prices, Napa Valley is luxury, not wine. Bingo. And you guys will see some of the prices that she lists out, and that's exactly what she's talking about. Look at the score and look at the price. It's mind-boggling. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's why I want to share the report with you guys. All right, and a lot of and here's another, I think, connection that she makes. You know what? The reason I'm pointing out a lot of these things is because it's part of her being diplomatic and direct. She's not accusing anybody of anything, but she's everything she's pointing out, everything I highlighted, she did it on purpose. She's not here to promote Napa Valley. She's here to promote good wine. She's here to promote winemakers who she thinks are great at their craft versus those who are not great at their craft. I think that's really what she's boiling everything down to. Um, she also quoted, she starts talking about organics, biodynamics, basically how clean and green the wines are made. And she makes another quote here, which is fascinating. As Andy Erickson of Favia remarked during my visit to his winery in Coonsville, in the far southeast of the valley, if anyone can afford to be biodynamic, surely Napa Valley wine producers can. And to me, what this says is basically because it's a luxury items. A lot of these producers charge insane amount of money for their wines, and it's all fat. They tell stories how the land is very expensive, the labor is very expensive, etc., etc., etc. But to me, the winemaker says right here everything you need to know. It's all fat. If they wanted to invest in biodynamics, they can. But they don't want to do it because why should they invest in biodynamics when they're selling luxury and not good wine? So that's a little, even Napa Valley winemaker himself is accusing Napa of doing that. All right, let's go to the wineries. And I think if you're not a wine drinker, you recognize some of these names. And remember the scale that I was talking about. So here, XR Cabernet. Okay, so I want to also point out something like this. So Jancis scored some of the wines along with her lady who works with her, Samantha Cole Johnson. This is her initials. So whenever you see SCJ initials, that's Samantha Cole Johnson. If you don't see any initials, that's Jancis scoring. So let's go to what Jancis scored because Jancis, like I said, to me, her scores are gold based on her experience and based on her knowledge, etc., etc. To me, what I think she's somebody who gives an expert opinion. Samantha Cole Johnson, she's younger. She doesn't have as much experience. I'm still not 100% sure if I agree with the way she scores wines. I'm still kind of getting used to her palate. But I like Jancis' palate. That's why I'm doing this one. All right. All right, guys. So, all right. Almacero. Never heard of them. Jancis scored this wine 16 points. Like I was mentioning to you guys, this is basically an 88-point wine. They're selling it for $220. Almacero, another proprietary ranch, 17 points, very good score. Like I said, it's equivalent to 92 points on the 100-point scale, $220. Alpha Omega, huge name, 16 points, but that's from Samantha Cole Johnson. Amici, $99, 16 and a half, 90.1 is $99. All right, let's scroll down. Let's scroll down. Amici, I'm gonna go one by one. Just try to you can see if it's going down. Arietta, Quartet, $90, still one. Now let's see the ones that she gave really good scores because you can see a lot of decent scores. I mean, 16 points, $150. Jeez Louise. All right. Baldacci, 17 points. Let's get to some really great lines that got really high scores. And I kind of give you my thoughts. Bardo, 16 points. As somebody who likes wine, and because I have a wine shop and I'm bringing wine, I look at these, and this is part of what I consider value. It's something I bring to the store and I sell for $60, and they got 16 points. Is that a value? By my definition, it is not. There's no reason I should have this wine in my store. And I'll give you some examples of the wines that I would bring in. All right, so I think this is a good one. Boulevard Vineyards Reserve Cabernet 2021, 17 and a half points. Its MSRP price $85. She even says GB means good value. This is the wine that I would have in my store. $85, 17 and a half points for a Napa wine, specifically a Rutherford wine. Yeah, on Napa standards, that's a really good value. Let's see if we can find something like. And if I kind of know some of these wineries because I pay attention to the wineries. I pay attention to Jancis. What do we got right here? Bravante, 15 points. What did you say? Dark, shaded purplish crimson, smelled rather sweaty and oaky, very unctuous and sweet. Remember, she said the wineries listed the residual sugars, and this is her note: sweet, not refreshing, messy finish. $120 for an 85-point wine? I don't think so. You guys have probably recognized some of the names because they are Morosa, 15 and a half points, $106. Please. A lot of people go to this place because they say, it's a very pretty castle. I've been there. It is a very pretty castle. 15 and a half points for $106 wine. Come on. Chimney Rock, 17 points. Cliff Family, 15 points. Another one, $125. You can see Cost Bigas, another big name. Well, Duval, 17 points. $60. This is actually a good value right here. She didn't put it, but man, this is a really good one. 17 points. And for Napa Valley, it's $60. Great value. I hope I'm helping you guys out as well. It's kind of like my 2 cents. Um, and this is how I shop for myself. What do I put in my personal cellar? This is the thought process that goes into that as well. Corson is a wine she really likes. Cabernet Sauvignon, $125, 16 and a half points. She likes them consistently, but even that's just kind of like a bordering 90-point wine. Coronas, they're high end wine, $225, but it's a fantastic score. I mean, 18 points is as high as it gets. I don't think there's anything in this report above 18 points. So it's like 95 points, $225. I mean, good wine by Napa standard. You could debate, it's still pricey wine, but Napa standards, it's a good wine. $150, 15 and a half points. And just look at some of these examples. Dollar Valley, look at that, 18 points, fantastic wine, $500. Woo. That's the luxury she's talking about. Dominus Napa Nook, 17 points. Dominus, the number one wine, 18 points, $330. I mean, Dominus is obviously a very renowned name. Fantastic score. That's the good price point. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, here you can see kind of the difference. It's funny, actually, Jancis gave Dominus a higher score than Samantha Cole Johnson. Typically, it's the opposite. Typically, Jancis, whenever she scores 2 wines with her coworkers, she's the one who gives them the lower score. Farniente. Everybody knows this name. 15 points, $155. Warm and sweet. Key term, sweet. Residual sugar, right? Barella, 16 and a half points, $72. But just look at them. So the wine that I'm having, the Masolino Dolcetto, I sell it for $25. Just giving you the context, what 16 and a half points means. According to Jancis, the taste profile is, similar. They're 90-point wines. One costs $25. The other one costs, $150. If that, $175, 15 and a half. Pavia. Remember, Pavia was one of the producers that actually had good weights on their bottles that she approved, and she seems to approve their wines as well. 17 points for Coombsville, 18 points for Oakville. 250, but I mean, it seems like that's the price point of it. And if you can see that a lot of these wines that hit the $225, $250 mark, they do get higher scores. But how many mediocre wines are in that 125 to 175 range? Crazy. Yeah. But you get the Foley Johnson, $50, but 15 points. So yeah, we'll just scroll through this lineup. I just want to share this guys with you. Frog's Leap, she's a big fan of Frog's Leap. They're one of the pioneers in biodynamics in Napa. They were the first to be organic and biodynamic, I think, since the early 80s. Pretty fantastic. So here you can see 17 points, $75. She even says it's quite good value. I agree. For Napa prices, that's pretty good value. Gallica was one of those producers who had good weight on their bottles. Look at this. 17 and a half points, 18 points, hand in hand. Those who are like environmentally conscious and use, clean techniques, look, it leads to fantastic scoring wines. Not these big, ripe, sweet fruit bombs that, some of the winemakers still keep making. These wines are just not that good. At least not to her taste and kind of not to my taste. Not to my taste. Ghost Block. This is fantastic. I actually just ordered this wine for the shop. Amazing. Like, Oakville wine, 17 and a half points, almost 18 points. But she's basically saying that she thinks as the wine develops, it's going to hit that 1895 point scale. A bargain for $80 in terms of Napa. Bargain. That's why I picked it up. I'm like, okay, this is going for the store. I could sell this to a customer and say, like, hey, this is a fantastic wine. And compared to Napa, it's a bargain. It really is. $80, it's a bargain. You guys saw some of the pricing on even the good wines. $500 for an 18-point wine from Dollar Valley. All right, so this is kind of I think a great review. Gurgit Shields one more time. 17 points. What should we get right here? Right here. Gurgit Shield was also looking at it. They have some of the smaller bottles and good scores along with that. See, I don't think the scores. I don't think she was favoring the wineries with small bottles with the scores. I think she's saying it's the philosophy of the winery that everything has to be clean, everything should be environmentally conscious in the bottles and in the vineyards, and that thought process leads to good wines. When you're chasing the dollar, you're doing nonsense like making big bottles and pretty labels, and you try to overcharge everything. The wines is going to be mediocre. She's judging what's inside the bottle, not what's outside the bottle, but the prettiness. So that's kind of what I want to share with you guys. I hope this is educational. Let me know what your thoughts are. And guys, subscribe. I'll be doing more of these educational tidbits and drinking the delicious wines as I'm going along with that. So thank you guys for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys next time. All right, bye.